All right, let's make sure we've got everything set up here. Very good, very good. Everything's working. All right, welcome back to a little impromptu stream. It's not going to be a super long one, but I thought I'd hop in and showcase the day 2 of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. So we're luckily already on Microtech and Galactic Aerospace. We Expo, will. So we're luckily hilarious. Already on Microtech, and apparently my stream is running in a background tab. We will. Oh my god, it's Inception. Apparently my stream is running in a background tab. Let's do. It's Inception. There. Ha. It's like when you look in a mirror with a mirror, then it looks like there is like hundreds of little screens. Oh, when you open up OBS and it's capturing OBS, then you have 1,000 little windows. Well, that was happening because in the background I had my channel open on Twitch. So yeah, we're luckily already on Microtech. We're going to just invite you to a party really quick here. And then we'll jump right in. So yeah, we're going to be able to run right over and check out the Tobin Exo Center, and we're going to be able to see the Aegis Hall, which if you don't know, Aegis is one of the limited ship offerings during the IAE. This means that they have limited wave ships. So during the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, essentially, and I say essentially because it's not quite 100%, but essentially all ships that have ever been made available become available again for purchase. The few that are not is the Saber Raven was a limited time promotion offered for the release of the Intel Optane drives, partnered with Intel for that, and you could only get it if you purchased an Intel Optane drive at that time. The, Dragonfly Star Kitten version, once again, a limited time promo ship sold during a specific time. The F7A Mark II was a limited time ship. The Idris M was a limited time ship. So short of limited time ships like that are only available at that time and never again, you can buy all of essentially the base hulls that have been made available throughout the years. Here, I'll get the doors for you there.
I was going to say, was that you?
Yeah. So, yesterday's Crusader had all the offerings from Crusader, both the ships that were released to live plus concept ships. Today, they have almost all the ships offered by Aegis, minus, like I said, Idris M. But you can purchase the Javelin Destroyer and the Idris P, though they are available in limited waves. So the rest of the offering from Aegis was available all day long during the start of Aegis Day today as well as into tomorrow. But at 4 p.m. UTC, 12 a.m. and 8 a.m. UTC, they have waves of the Idris P and the Javelin. The Warburn version means you are infusing Star Citizen with brand new cash and you're not able to use melted store credit or anything like that. Those ones tend to last a little longer because obviously you're dumping 1,500 to 2,200 or 2,250, whatever it ends up being there. But if you melt ships, those ones go very quickly if you're using one of the non-Warbond versions. So you can have an opportunity to get one of those limited time ships. As much as obviously you've seen my library and you see how much crazy stuff I've bought, you don't have to. I just want to make it clear. If you are new to Star Citizen, all you need is a base game package and you can unlock everything in-game. In particular, not only can you purchase it in-game or acquire it through other methods, whether that's, theft or, through mission rewards, things like that, but also once player settlements and player space stations come a thing in 1.0, you'll actually be able to build these ships because they showed building a Bengal, which is much larger. It's like 5 kilometers versus a javelin at 440 and an Idris at 270 meters in size. So you'll be able to either buy or build everything in game. You don't need to purchase these crazy things. All you need is a base game package. However, if you like Star Citizen and you want to support the developers on a greater level, and you have the cash, important distinction there, feel free to donate extra, but please don't, especially in these times, don't go broke doing it. Support Star Citizen with a purchase occasionally if you want to, but don't feel the need to go crazy on that. I am someone who, practice what I preach, not what I do, because obviously I've spent crazy amounts on Star Citizen, but I've been following since 2014 and super support the project and am an enthusiast at this. So you can either be like me and go crazy, but only do so if you can afford it. Oh my god. The train's going nuts. Okay, we almost like yeeted into the wall.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Well, that was an experience.
Oh, it's still happening. Okay.
So, yeah. Now that the preamble's out of the way there, we'll head on up.
Okay.
I would just like to point out that, yes, absolutely. If you have the means, you have some disposable cash, you are super passionate about the project and want to support it on a greater level, the only reason Star Citizen is able to continue the development and pushing that boundary and developing this amazing game that we all love is through people like us donating our cash as well as our time to help testing the build. And ship sales is one of the ways they can continue this amazing game. And so if you have the ability to do so, definitely do it. But I like to make the point that you can earn everything in-game and make sure that you're not breaking the bank to do so because, oftentimes people, especially during these big sales, make snap decisions and then have to live with the consequences afterwards. Yeah, you have a cool ship, but a lot of those big ones are not even in-game yet, and it's quite the expense, so...
Well, exactly.
I didn't know if you were going to make it, so I clicked the Exo4, but you made it anyway. Then we're going to go to the Zenith Hall.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check out the alien ones on the 25th and 26th.
Yeah, it's like Apua and Gatak and...
I have no idea what the names are. They're not in English, so I don't know.
Well, I can tell you if I see another... Yeah, the plaque over there. So yeah, you got Gatak, Apoa, well, I can't remember that next one is, and then Asperia. Apoa is that second one, and then Gatak, you can kind of see it there. Yeah, I can't remember what the...
Apoa, but...
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But yeah, I thought I'd hop on. As mentioned yesterday, I was at the event for my real work all day today, but got home and took a little nap because I was up super early for it. And then decided, you know what, let's hop on to a little impromptu stream. I'll throw this up on YouTube as per usual. And that way people can get to see this if they, otherwise couldn't tune in themselves. So in the Zenith Hall, we have in the main hall the Reclaimer, which is that big beast in the center. It's a big salvage ship. We got the Saber Comet and the regular generic Saber. In the Hall 3, we have the Gladius Valiant, the Gladius, and the Hammerhead. Hall 2, we got the Avenger series plus a Redeemer. So you Titan, Stalker, Warlock, Renegade. Hall 5, we got the Vanguard, so Sentinel, Warden, Hoplite, and Harbinger. And Hall 4, we have our Retaliator Bomber and our Eclipse. Down below, we have the concept ships, Nautilus, Vulcan, and the Idris. That's kind of cool. And then they have the Saber Peregrine and the Saber Firebird, the two new variants of the Saber. I really like that because obviously, due to the Intel deal, they couldn't sell the chassis because you can see the Saber Comet and the Saber on there. The Saber Raven looked slightly different, so they were able to utilize the similar chassis for the Peregrine and the Firebird without, selling that specific ship. So it's still a rare ship, but you can get something that looks similar by using the other side. So if you've watched before, I think, have we featured the on the channel? I know we've used it, but I can't remember if we featured it on the channel.
I couldn't tell you.
Oh, well, we'll walk through it anyway. So your Saber, both Comet, regular variant, Firebird, Peregrine are all single siege fighters, so we'll just take a little look on the outside. You can see right here we have created as part of the Masters of Flight series in conjunction with the Flight Sim Arena Commander. The Comet pays tribute to the famed pilot Captain Kamer Dalian for his work with Aegis to usher a new area of combat ship design. The Saber comes equipped with a specialized dogfighting focused loadout and a custom special edition livery honoring his iconic ship.
Not the best I've seen from these manufacturers.
It's decent visibility.
They're nice ships. I don't have any of the Saber platforms, but I would consider getting like the Peregrine or the Firebird. We'll be able to go third person in the Reclaimer and see all three of them, so that's probably what we'll focus on. But yeah, actually, you'll find Hurston Security rocks these ships sometimes with their own custom livery, obviously. But you can see here, when you go to enter the pilot seat, the weapon actually sucks back and out of the way so that the ladder is accessible. So, and these wings fold out when it's actually going to fly. On the other side of the ship, on the starboard side, you can see weapon storage there that pops out of the hull as well.
Oh. Okay, yeah.
Much like the Gladius. So, nice ship. And keep in mind, if you are able to tune into Star Citizen over the next little bit, from now until December 5th, you can rent any of these ships for free and get use of them for 2 days. And then that way, if you decide that you like it, you can use it for a variety of missions that would fit that archetype or just general flight characteristics. And if you really like it, yeah, you can see the new Aegis right there. But then you can go ahead and hop on the store and purchase them. There's also the Best in Show at the very end, which also allows you to kind of rent all of them. So if you did miss one day, don't fret. You have an opportunity to kind of check those out. But you can see this one's kind of just a generic version of one we just looked at there.
Yeah.
So, part of Aegis Dynamics Phase 2 of new ship models, Saber was designed as a space superiority fighter for those situations where you need to leave a lighter footprint. Designed to be a rapid responder, the Saber is more than capable of establishing battlefield dominance for any number of combat scenarios. Apparently I can't read today. Oh my god, move.
You've had a long day.
It has. A good day, but a long day. And then we have the Reclaimer, which is the big salvage ship with an Nostromo interior. So, the Aegis Reclaimer is an industrial salvage ship equipped with a reinforced cargo bay, a long-range jump drive, and launch pods for unmanned drones. The Reclaimer is an ideal ship for taking advantage of deep space wrecks. Tractor beam, floodlights, scanner options, and docking port round out the tools of this capable utilitarian spacecraft. It has 2 points of entry from the ground. So you can see this small single-person transport. This would be for a single occupant to depart or board. So this little elevator comes down, you get inside, it kind of sucks back up into the ship. The other spot is at the rear, which is what we're going to utilize, just because that way, Megan doesn't have to wait for me to send it back down and all that jazz.
Thank you.
It looks very animalistic with its, it almost kind of looks like a prowling animal just sitting there perched looking down.
It looks very angry.
You got some remote turrets on the ship to give it defense. It's actually not badly equipped for that. It's not a dedicated combat ship, but you wouldn't want to take it on in a small ship if it was fully crewed and ready to rock. So this large door kind of folds out, and the elevator at the back here goes to multiple levels. We'll take it to each level so that people can get an understanding of that if you've never been on the inside.
Why not take it for a test ride? Many of the vehicles on display at this year's IAE are conveniently available to rent.
So we'll go to the first floor, which is the cargo hold. So directly up from the ground, you have your small cargo hold. I say small, it's actually fairly reasonable for this size ship. Obviously, this ship is meant for salvage, but you can actually move salvage down here as well. But this also can hold regular cargo. Personally, for me, especially with physicalized components and fuses, as well as the need to eat and drink, it wouldn't be a bad idea to store some additional components in here for general operation, and if you needed to, as an overflow spot for additional salvage materials. The next area is the salvage. So we got the salvage hold.
Keep an eye on your belongings at all times. We want to make sure that your perfect day stays that way.
I like the fact it has a large elevator in here as well, because then you can actually move cargo very easily between the holds.
Yes.
So down here, underneath salvage processing, you can store additional stuff. Although, one thing to note, as far as I'm aware, when I tried latch the last time, there was no maglev cargo here. Meaning that, yeah, you can load stuff down here, but you can't, like, magnetize it to the deck. What this is best used for, in my opinion, when you're doing it, is that you would load it down here and someone else would catch it, and that way you have a shorter trip on the elevator, so you can go between this floor and the cargo hold for overflow. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend storing things down here until they have a better system of preventing it from being all janky,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're at risk to have it, you know, cause explosions on your ship. Next, we have salvage processing.
From nimble fighters to formidable frigates, Aegis dynamics makes the ships that heroes are made of. Visit these legends of battle for yourself.
So up here, you actually do have magnetized things, and it actually looks quite similar. So maybe they actually have now added the magnetized thing down below, or maybe it just wasn't working for us previously. But you have two salvage processing here, so if you have a larger crew, you can actually have two people pumping out stuff. So as you've, you know, eaten all that jazz, you can actually pump out utilizing these. And these will actually push out fairly decent-sized SU boxes. I think it does up to 16 SUs. And then, like I said, you can load them down here. And I suspect eventually this lift will actually, you know, actually work. Why'd you jump down there?
I did.
Oh, for me you did. But yeah, you have a decent thing. And then the next floor, technically we're going to skip, because we're going to go right up to the catwalk up there that you see, so you get an idea of what that looks like. But if you had this place fill up, you could have your foreman or what have you, you know, overseeing the work being done and making sure that it is working out, and coordinate with the teams to make sure. So the next floor is technically your, you know, habitation deck, but we're going to go to the salvage balcony first, and then we'll go to the habitation deck, which is through that small person door there.
Okay. It's been a while since I've been on this ship.
So over here, as you can see, you have your stuff. Got a very Nostromo feel with the chains hanging, so hopefully eventually you can actually use these and store additional items hanging. even something like a small vehicle that you can then, like, you know, a rover of some kind that would fit, maybe the, you know, Cyclones or something like that. But yeah, there's not much else to that, so we'll head to the habitation deck.
Okay.
Gathering the latest and greatest from manufacturers across the empire, the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo is where spaceship enthusiasts come to take flight.
Before we proceed too far in, you actually have 2 airlocks, one on port, one on starboard. So if you are docking in space, you have suit storage, a double door so you can pressurize, and then you have your actual exit, so you can actually have this come up alongside and use the docking ports. I look forward to the moment. Right now, there's also supplies here with the lockers, but the biggest thing with that is I really look forward to the time when you can select, when coming up to a station, if you have a ship that would either A, be able to land and dock, like for example the Polaris, can only fit in the extra large, so it cannot land on a space station, it can only dock. Same thing with things like the 890 Jump. But there are ships like this that can fit in a large hangar, but you might not want it. You might just be stopping quickly to either unload crew, drop off someone, or load some crew, like picking up some people, or just minor supplies that don't need to go into the logistics of being in a hangar. And it would be nice to be able to, when you dock, it prompts you, would you like, because all ships will eventually have the ability to kind of have a docking port. I mean, small ones probably will retain not, but like most medium and up, like even the Constellations and stuff like that, the old Freelancers even still have the idea. So medium ships and up, I would like to be, when you hail, the option to like, hey, I want to dock, or hey, I want to land, and then maybe add a quick keybind, so instead of having to select options, you just like request landing or request docking. The sub deck here is engineering, so there's a ladder on both sides.
Don't run while exploring the halls.
Okay, apparently I want to keep climbing up the ladder. There we go.
Okay.
So down here you got a very similar engineering section that you'd see kind of like in the Idris that you saw previously. So it's got like that reactor, like, you know, submerged in a coolant bath, and then you got some components in here that will be accessible, and you'll eventually be able to like raise this up for diagnostics. And then you got on the sides here like different component access that are not physicalized at the moment, but will be once engineering comes and this ship is upgraded. So moving down into the ship, it's got a very lived-in feel, let's say. To the right, so the starboard side of the ship, you have your captain's quarters. So there is an office, like in most Aegis ships, with kind of nice seating area here, so that, you know, the crew can meet here briefly. The captain could sit over here, and the crew could sit in these seats, and you could discuss the salvage mission upcoming. Plus, they have their own individual crew quarters that you'd be familiar with if you've seen the Hammerhead and, you know, those kind of things like that. Ensuite. Across the hall on the port side of the vessel, we've got the crew accommodations. So you have your bunks for them. The ship has a crew of 5. Nice seating area in here. Windows as well, which is nice. I love windows on ships. The mirror in this one has not been upgraded. It's just a faked reflection, but you have your bathrooms. So 2 showers, 2 heads. So basically 2 wet heads, 2 dry heads. But the wet heads are actually just showers, if you want nautical speak. In here, this also has an interesting top docking collar. A lot of ships of the old metrics featured these, like the Retaliator bomber and stuff like that, but I don't know the thought process. Like, unless you're using it as an EVA escape, where, you know, as you can see here, you would use these if you depressurize this area and removed the gravity in this section, you can then climb out using it as a ladder. But short of something like that, I don't know how a crew member would be expected in full gear to access this. And you can see that it actually works. I just don't know how a crew member would be expected to use that. So the Retaliator actually had that removed. And I suspect a lot of ships will, and they might rejig that area in the future. But this is where you get your Nostromo look.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
What did he have?
Oh, he had the special. The special, that's what I had. Can I change my order? Sorry, wrong. Wrong one.
It's hilarious. I love the John Candy's amazing. So if we move to the drone bay, or this is just the escape pod bay. Oh, they actually have it fully added. Look at that. That's another thing that's really looking forward to. Not that you want to abandon your ship, but I really want to see the escape pods functioning.
The event of, yes.
Yeah. So over on the port side here, opposite the escape pods, we have some more engineering spaces which will house components and all that jazz. Right now, this is a very old design, so it does not have the newest metrics. The Reclaimer is not a new ship.
No, she looks a little dated.
So inside here, you have your drones. The drones are not functional. I said this the other day to my wife off stream. A lot of people got angry when No, I think I said it yesterday too. A lot of people got angry about the Polaris not having the captain's quarters, and they're like, "Oh, they're releasing ships with partial functionality." I'm like they've done since the beginning. Like, this is supposed to have drones. The Carrack's supposed to have drones. I mean, they've physicalized everything in here as far as like the seats and stuff like that, but the drones aren't in, and people need to simmer. So the idea is that you'd have 2 drones. I suspect they would sit here and charge when not in use. And then they would move in here, and they actually have a bay, as you can see up top here, that would open up. So your 2 people in here could use drones, and these drones would go out and be able to collect It looks like it'd be better in this seat because both these screens are facing them. Anyway, they'd be able to go out and help collect and bring back materials to be closer to the operators of the other things that we'll see as we go closer here. So we do have an elevator that takes us down to the bridge. We'll look at the turret access briefly in a second. But in here we have our gravity generator, and I love these things. These are so cool.
Yeah.
I love spinning things. And then there's more component access here. These will eventually open up, physicalized, and then you have a ladder that takes you down to the lower part of the ship. But before we do that, we'll just go up and take a look at the turret. This ship has most of its armament in the form of remote turrets, but it does have this top manned turret, as well as the need to go up and down this ladder 17 times, because the game keeps doing that, and it's the best thing in the world. If you're going to fix anything, CIG, please make it so I don't get on the ladder 17 times. Moving on. So you're going to have coolers or other components up here, whatever they might be. And then we have the top turret. This is the only manned turret on the vessel. Everything else is a remote.
Okay, at first I didn't realize what was happening. So when you were going up, there was like this weird wall thing. It was closing, and I thought for some reason my character was moving. I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Skills.
Yeah, that I don't have right now, apparently.
So yeah. I don't know the exact armament on here because every time I've taken this, I haven't really used the ship for combat. It's basically just got it as a defensive armament.
From nimble fighters to formidable brakes, Aegis dynamics makes the ships that heroes.
Yeah, see, this is the stuff I'm talking about. When I get off the elevator, the ladder, stop making me go back on it. It's not fun. All right. Okay, and then we'll take the elevator down. This one leads directly down into the command deck and stuff like that. Same one that made this, made the Polaris elevator.
Okay.
I'm joking. I'm just saying that because it's slow.
Oh, fair enough. Actually, it seems a little bit faster than before.
So in here, you actually have like a visualization of the mulching of materials, which is kind of cool. And then someone can use this engineer station to monitor items. We'll talk about the center in a second, 'cause a lot going on here. This is that elevator. So once we call it up, yeah, you can see it'll pull everything up, and then it'll be a spot for you to enter or exit. And then over here is that ladder that we looked at up top. Some more component access scattered across, plus fire extinguishers, all the jazz. In the center, though, you have your remote turrets. So this has a scanning station, but a remote turret there. This station is a scanning station and then a remote turret here. So you can have 2 people operating remote turrets and then switch between the turrets as necessary to get the best angle. So if we get onto the station here and we enter a remote turret, can we power this on? Is it going to let us? Of course not. Probably not letting us because it's in the show hall. But yeah, you'd enter remote turret and you could cycle through the views. Additional escape pods located on this deck as well. And then you have your salvage operator seats located port and starboard.
Remember, they're here for everyone's enjoyment.
And it's not letting us do these ones either. Oh, that's because it's in the show hall.
Probably because it's in the hall, yeah.
Yeah. Then you have your pilot and co-pilot, and it actually has, to be honest with you, decent visibility for this giant industrial ship, as you can see. Now, when the cockpit kind of falls down, you do lose some of that forward visibility, but not bad. And you can see, so it's got the big old man turret up front there, but it's got remote turret on either side there. It's got a remote turret on the top, and then it's got remote turrets on either side at the rear, and then finally a remote turret at the bottom there. So you can see it's got decent firepower. It's meant to just be able to protect itself. The giant thing that's underneath is actually this large arm that can come out and it kind of opens up. It's quite cool to watch. These arms and legs, whatever you want to call the landing gear, fold up when in flight and kind of migrate slightly. And all in all, it's a pretty nice ship. And if you have a good crew, if you have 3 or 4 people, it can be quite the moneymaker for you. So.
Exactly. Plus, it is actually fun to do the salvage.
Yeah, it is. It's a low stress, you know, for the most part anyway, as long as you're not getting too glitches. But it's a low stress, enjoyable occupation that allows you to make quite a bit of money and not be in the traditional setting where you're, you know, attacking and worrying about being, you know, murked and stuff. We'll move back to the big elevator just because that way we can both leave at the same time, and then we'll head down and see the other ships on offer.
I've also noticed there are a lot of leaks on this ship.
Yeah, it's meant to have that lived-in, you know, grungy look. Yeah, yeah.
This is a friendly reminder. Stay aware of your surroundings and keep an eye on your belongings at all times. We want to make sure that your perfect day stays that way.
It's true. If you comparing it to the beginning of time, it's very soon. But, you know, if you're doing it by average metrics, no.
No.
It's not on their tease ships for the next 12 to 18 months. So I suspect we're not going to see it for 24 to 36. But CIG does periodically release ships, you know, without making a big fuss beforehand.
It's true. Oh. Okay, we just went in the void there for a minute.
All right, we'll head to the halls 4 and 5 first, and then we'll make our way back around.
It's also interesting that they have just component showcases.
Yeah, because with a lot of components being physicalized, you can go into, like, our Mercury Star Runner, for example, and physically use your True Lift tractor beam to pull out the shield generator and stick a new one in and stuff like that. So there is the option to buy them physically, hose them in your landing location, load them into, like, actually on the cargo grid, swap components out. Just not all of them, like, you know, for example, avionics is still not fully physicalized. It's just like a faked server rack. And then the other bit is... Okay, he's a backer since the backer was back in the backer. But yeah, so you can do all that stuff, but like you don't have like the small gravity generator that you can swap around and things like that. So these are on every day, so if you wanted to, you can definitely take a look at that. Go ahead and pause the video on YouTube or in the VOD if you want to watch after the fact and read those. I'm less interested in reading these ones because these are an everyday thing, so at least one point if you tune into the expo, you'll get to see these.
Tobin Expo Center would like to invite everyone to join in and help keep our halls looking their best for every guest.
I like how they've actually started implementing the in-game guilds. So the in-game guilds, like United Resource Workers, is all the organizations that deal with recovery of resources would fall under that guild, and you can earn reputation with that guild by working for any individual company that, you know, was in that guild. Same thing like the Bounty Hunter / Mercenary Guild, whatever they're called again.
That's cool.
This is a friendly reminder that the Tobin Expo Center is a shared space. Please be mindful of other guests during your visit so that we can all enjoy this day together.
We got our Vanguard Hall.
The Vanguard is a nice ship.
It is. The Harbinger's my favorite.
Yeah.
So much so I have two of them, apparently. I think one of them's a loaner. Well, I did buy one, but then I have two in my hangar, so I suspect one's a loaner.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not to tip my hat to them as a manufacturer. Everything they have before is pretty impressive.
I think they've somehow outdone themselves with their latest lineup.
Operation has failed successfully. Like, hey,
So, come into my favorite version. So, it's still got a nice interior with munition storage, regular storage, bathroom. So, it's a wet head that it can, toilet can pop out. Two bunks that double as escape pods for the crew. You know, your size 5 torpedoes. Still got some missiles, decent component access up front, and the top turret. My favorite long-range version, by far.
yes, I like it.
I'm not going to show that one too much because obviously that one's featured often. But we will read the little blurb before we move on to the next one.
Fair.
I think the Hoplite's the next one there. So Vanguard Harbinger is Earth's standard fighter bomber converted converting the standard Warden's escape pods into a potent bomb bay. The extended range of the Vanguard and the relatively small profile means that it can go where carrier-based ships or larger strategic bombers don't. Strike hard and then make it back to base. Now it says replacing the standard escape pods. However,
Okay, I think I'm about done.
keep clear when door operational. And where is that located? Directly underneath the bunks. So I suspect that that's a lie. This is almost certainly the Hoplite. But we'll read first before we fully confirm that. Yay.
From what I've seen so
So the Vanguard Hoplite is a cross between the winning Vanguard Deep Space Fighter and a dedicated boarding ship. Adapted from proven assault ship designs, the Hoplite is a practical tool for inserting an armored strike team with enough firepower to get them out again. So it replaces the interior, no crew quarters, no bathroom, nothing like that, with a dedicated drop bay and weapon storage, and floats it above the ground apparently.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, it's just
So-
the back. The front looks like it's on the ground.
You got 6 jump seats and then a large weapon rack storage to store all of their equipment. So,
Okay.
Even with the crowds, I definitely think the IAE is worth going to.
I'm glad you came. It's always better exploring a show with someone else.
next one is your standard Warden. I can't remember if it's just called the Warden.
Maybe.
Well, we'll be able to see. Let me zoom in. Yeah, it is. So we'll look at the inside and then we'll read the little brief because we're already at the back side here.
Makes sense.
Up we goes.
I don't really think this manufacturer with my style.
So you can see this one is similar. It just has a larger recessed engineering station and a greater avionics storage section. I don't know if that means it has better avionics package, but you can see otherwise it is, you know, the bathroom's been moved over here because the bombs are not there anymore, and a slightly larger kitchenette. But really, in my opinion, there's not much reason to select this over a Harbinger because you get everything that this has minus some creature comforts, which you can always land if you needed more creature comforts and go to like a nicer place, while having the option of carrying 3 size 5 torpedoes. Alright, a hard-charging bulldog of a fighter which features extensive forward-facing weaponry designed to tear through the shields and armor of other spacecraft. So named because their multi-jump range allows them to form the vanguard of any military expedition. Vanguards have seen extensive service against the Vanduul. So this is kind of what your standard UEE Vanguard would be equipped like, minus the livery of course. And then in my opinion, the Harbinger is the better option, though I generally swap the rocket pods for laser repeaters. And then you have the Sentinel, which is your E-War version, which I do look forward to when that becomes a part of Star Citizen. For those who are unaware, E-War is electronic warfare, so that's like hacking shields, shutting down power plants remotely via a hacking minigame that is yet to be developed. Vanguard Sentinel is a ship that is designed to fight smart instead of taking enemies head-on. The conversion features an AR cockpit, so augmented reality cockpit, with an external E-War pod, decoy missiles, and a set of EMP charges. Vanguard Sentinels often provide necessary combat support for combined operations. A lone Sentinel is frequently paired with a Harbinger bomber and the Warden's escort for large attack missions. So we can go ahead and look at that. Oh, wow, they got the big old electricians. I love the Hurston weaponry. It looks so mean.
I'll say it looks angry.
I am angry. Super mutants, for those who don't know. Stupid little bleeder. I love Fallout. So you can see this one's a very different interior. You got your bathroom located on the port side, much like the Harbinger. However, we have a data station here that will eventually feature relevant information. A large station here that can be used, plus a lot of server racks and stuff like that. So you can imagine that this one kind of going out and providing electronic warfare support. So the turret operator would hop out of the turret briefly to operate the E-War suite and be able to hack down enemy equipment. So the cool thing about that is I suspect when that gameplay finally comes online, because hacking gameplay is something that is coming in the near future, that what you'll have is, as a hack is initiated, the crew that's being hacked will have an opportunity, should they have people on board, to do some counter E-War, like basically cybersecurity, and then help prevent the intrusion. However, if they fail, then the attacking E-War ship will gain access to their systems and will have a power node loadout, like you would see in your ship, but controlling the opponent's ship, and then you would be able to power down shields. But I suspect that depending on the type of ship you're using, like a dedicated E-War ship like that, you would have only so much changes you could affect before their own internal IFCS, which is Intelligent Flight Control System, would time out. And so you could either have a time limit where you could monitor items and make little changes, which would then give you, say, 45 seconds. Every change you make reduces that time by 5 seconds, so you'd have to make fast decisions as well as important ones to dictate the flow of battle. Now, of course, I've never seen CIG come out and say anything about that. There is no evidence that states that whatever I've just said here is accurate in any way. But I suspect that is what is going to happen with the E-War. That is what makes sense to me. They might eventually go further and make some incremental improvements and modifications, but I suspect the first iteration will have something like, we will be able to control the power states of enemy ships with a limited time, and any changes made will reduce the amount of future changes you can make on that current hack, and you'd have to rehack if you wanted to make additional changes. That just makes sense to me. It's a much easier system to implement rather than coming up with a whole new UI that would have to have all kinds of stuff. Like, it'll have a new UI, but they won't necessarily have to create all these different things. The first iteration will likely feature a power system overview for the enemy ship.
That's fair.
But if you think differently, let me know. I love theory crafting.
Nope.
I don't mean you, but thank you.
No problem.
So we have the Eclipse and the Retaliator. The Eclipse is actually cool because it's super stealthy.
It looks very sleek.
Well, in general, like it's not picked up on your radar until it's fairly close or burning hard kind of deal. So, Aegis Eclipse bomber is designated to get in, designed to get in and strike before it's ever spotted, which is pretty accurate there. After extensive service in the UAE, this high-tech military equipment has made its civilian debut market in 2947. So we'll hop in here and do a little third person. Okay, apparently I didn't even wait for the ladder. I was just like, nope, get me in.
Wow, okay.
I like how the whole cockpit kind of rotates out and everything kind of sucks back in. It's a pretty neat design. And obviously, as you probably suspect, the wings kind of fold down into place once it takes off.
Of course.
But it's a nice looking ship. I don't have one of these, but they are nice.
One of the few you don't have.
Indeed. I just realized I have a horn, so let's move that to the other shoulder so I don't have a horn anymore.
Conveniently on my screen.
It doesn't. Yeah. Luckily, it doesn't affect anyone else's view. But when I go third person, it makes me sad.
Yeah, I had to do that earlier.
So your Retaliator's your long-range torpedo bomber. So it says, one of the United Empire of Earth's most powerful warbirds, the Aegis Dynamics Retaliator, is a fearsome weapons platform designed to strike and kill capital ships. A key portion of the UEE's power projection, Retaliator squadrons have served with distinction against outlaws, the Vandal, and elsewhere. So these ones also carry size, I think 5 torpedoes. It recently had a revamp, but it's got several manned turrets. So you have your chin turret as well as your top turret facing there. And then it's got 2 top turrets, 1 port, 1 starboard, just at the back of the wings there. And then 1 underside at the rear that you can see here. It recently went through a revamp, so we'll go up inside here and you can kind of take a look at that.
Good.
So taking the lift up. Instead of having 2 lifts, it has 1 lift. It used to have 2, 1 on either side. If you've been a long-time backer and kind of just returning, you'll notice that that's changed. This side actually has a nice docking collar that actually has a section of the hull that folds away, so you can do your typical, you know, docking. And it removed the top and bottom wonky docking stuff with actual, like, you know, solid.
Yeah, but I also noticed when we were on the elevator on the exterior, it looked like the docking collar on the bottom was still there.
No, that's a radar unit. That's been replaced by a
Oh.
radar. Yeah. So coming aft, we've got the engineering terminal here, but also access in the back here, which is quite cool. If we, I don't know if it's got this one, but there's modules that you can get for this space.
Oh.
So normally this would feature 2 or 4, I can't remember, larger torpedoes. But there's also a cargo variant that this is the empty version. This is the base version, if I'm not mistaken. So this does nothing. But there's a cargo variant that this actually can have a whole lift that lowers down. And in the future, they're going to have different variants like a crew quarters and like extended like living quarters, like kitchen and living room and stuff like that. And so you can actually turn this into like a heavily armored VIP transport for like org leader or stuff like that. So on the outside, it looks pretty low profile. It's just a Retaliator, but on the inside, it can be quite well decked out. Nice component access all along the sides. They all work. This thing is definitely a very good armored VIP transport if you're using that role. And you can see it's got the turrets, so it's got the top one here. And then if we carry along the back when my wife moves out of the way, you got your underside turret there. And then if we carry on, additional component access and your other turret there. So this whole aft section is basically engineering spaces. And then up front, same idea. This would normally feature, I think, 4 large torpedoes. But in this version, it's just empty space. And you can then fit modules in here for cargo. There's a drop pod thing. There's going to be a bunch of drop seats in here. And then, like I said, additional crews and stuff like that. So I would suspect that in this section, you would have your VIP accommodations for your VIP person. In the back, like if you're doing a VIP transport, you probably have additional bunks or so for like your, you know, protector peeps that are on here. Back here you have your bathroom for your crew. Oh, here, you can come in and see. There we go. But that's what I would use this for me. If I wasn't using it as a dedicated torpedo bomber, I'd use it as a my personal transport as a org leader if I'm moving around and wanted to be a little more inconspicuous than, say, you know, a capital ship.
Yeah.
You have your chin turret down here, and then your pilot. We'll go up the ladder in a moment, and then you have your captain's quarters over here.
Oh, okay, I didn't mean to I wanted to go up the ladder. I'm good.
Yeah, you can go take a look at the captain's quarters here, and I'll head up here.
Uh,
So up here, you have a nice little viewport, but you also have your top turret. And then through here, you have weapon storage, and then you have your generic crew 6 quarters up here. You know, pretty compact, but it's not meant for creature comforts. It's meant for a long-ranged torpedo bomber, or in the case of my... Oh, I'm going through you.
yeah,
Uh,
that's how that works.
in the case of my VIP transport idea, then you'd have just your dedicated crew that is you're taking you to and fro. This has recently got its not quite gold standard pass, but it's been brought up to more recent metrics.
Right.
Yeah, that's a radar dish on the bottom there.
I think I've absorbed as much as I can for now. Time to hit the next.
Not ready to. Let's go.
And you can see there's the button, and then the little panel folds out.
Even with the crowds, I definitely think the IAE is worth going to.
Seems like it's gonna be a great show this year.
Now to call the elevator.
Yeah, I left it down. You can just jump. It's fine. If you die, I can revive you.
Okay. Oh no, I'm good. See, heavy armor.
Well, it also wasn't a very fall drop.
Yeah, but
That's
I'm
right.
not on the
Wasn't a very
butts.
fall drop.
Didn't really think this manufacturer was my style. I'm into what they're showing this year.
I think they've
All right, we got the other 2 halls, and then we got the lower side.
Okay.
We'll also be on tomorrow showcasing that show floor change as well. Because in addition to Aegis being in, it should also be switching over to the next manufacturer. And so each day this week, I'll hop on for a short period of time. Just note, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday should be at fairly regular times. That's that 6:30 area. MDT or MST. Is it MST again now? Did the clocks change? Anyway, Mountain Time. Yeah, Mountain Time. So, 8:30 Eastern. Tuesday, though, will feature a slightly later video because I won't be home until around 8 p.m. my time, so 10 p.m. Eastern. And we'll hop on quickly and do one of these little more impromptu styles where rather than a lot of gameplay, we're just going through the expo halls and showcasing the good stuff that's on display. Now, I look forward to when they finally release AI crew. It'll be really cool if you can also hire AI escort ships, because Rescue Jake there has stolen the Slicer Idris. And oddly enough, the AI fleet is actually flying in formation with him. But I think back to Freelancer when you could have, during missions AI in formation with you, and you could actually, as yourself, use the AI for formation button to go in formation with AI or in multiplayer player ships. And so I really hope they also have the ability to hire escorts that can fly in formation with you, which would be very cool.
Would actually.
Also, if they don't allow auto formation flying like they did in Freelancer, and you have to, fly manually the whole time, which is totally cool by me. I'm all right with either one. It'd be nice if they could put formation markers. So if you and I were flying as the formation lead, I can select a formation type like arrow, V,
Yeah.
line abreast, whatever. and all the other members of the formation will see the position they should fall into as a marker that they can then just fly up and kind of maintain as best as they can. But rather than having to, like, guesstimate, because the intelligent flight control system should be able to do that. I mean, it's not that hard to project an AR marker for the pilot to follow.
Hard to believe that the
So we have the Gladius Valiant and the Gladius. The Valiant is a custom livery and a slightly different paint scheme. It's more like orangey and has a different tail logo on it. Gladius is the gold standard ship of Star Citizen. This is the one that, as far as fighters go, this is the one they keep up to date for Squadron 42 because it's the first ship you serve on. So if you're looking for the most up-to-date specs ship with all the recent iterative design changes they've made, this is the one to go. It's also a fantastic looking fighter, but also performs very well. So the Aegis Gladius. The Gladius is an older design which has been updated over the years to keep up with modern technology, which is funny, not only in lore but in accuracy because it's one of an earlier fighters anyway. In military circles, the Gladius is beloved for its performance and its simplicity. A fast, light fighter with a laser focus on dogfighting, the Gladius is an ideal interceptor or escort ship. So why I say this has got the top metrics is you see it actually has
for a weekend.
all of the different panels that open up for component access on the outside, which not all ships do yet. So you have radar access and avionics. As we move through the side of the ship, even little things like the diagnostic panel open up. You've got your quantum drive and power. All of these weapons can obviously be taken off if the ports are opened up. At the rear of the ship here, you have your fuel port, which can hide away. But you also have...
Not the best I've seen from this manufacturer.
That's weird, I can hit the eject from back here. But you also have, as you move along to the side here, storage access. And it's not letting me because I'm not the owner, but when you open that up, you'll actually have access to the internal storage of the ship. And there's also the weapon access. So you can store two primary weapons, because eventually you won't be able to sit in seats like this with backpacks and weapons on your back, just like you'd expect in real life.
Right.
Seems like a lot of people are enjoying themselves.
And this one still features the older style 4 MFD setup.
See the influence of some classic designers in the lines.
One, but it would definitely be
But it's a very nice fighter.
Yeah, no, I do like it.
Yeah, they look really nice too. A very solid single-seat fighter if you're looking for one that's not going to break the bank. F7A Mark II is my favorite, both aesthetically and for its firepower and, you know, the use case. But the Gladius is a beautiful ship, and I very much look forward to using it throughout the Squadron 42 Act 1. The Valiant, in particular, is a variant that is based off of a famed pilot, actually. So, created as the part of that Masters of Flight series in conjunction with the Flight Sim Arena Commander, the Valiant pays tribute to the famed defense pilot Condi Hilliard for being the first human on record to defeat a Vandal in combat. The Gladius comes equipped with a specialized dogfighting focused loadout and a custom special edition livery honoring her iconic ship. If I'm not mistaken, she was actually a member of a PMC, like a private military corporation. So she's not even the UEE member. She was working for this PMC and defeated them If I'm not mistaken, it was a blade.
I love going to shows like this.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't remember.
Check out the Astro Historian. He's got a bunch of videos if you are interested in learning more about the Star Citizen history. He is the go-to place for that. And then you have your Hammerhead, the favorite ship of my wife. I must admit, I am also a big fan of the Hammerhead. It is a gorgeous ship. A fast patrol ship with multiple turrets designed to combat fighters. The Hammerhead is equally suited to supporting larger capital ships in a fleet or acting as a flagship for fighter groups. The best part about this is it has 4 size 4 weapons on each of its turrets, 6 turrets in total. 2 on the port side, 2 on the starboard, 1 on the bottom at the rear, and 1 on the top in the center. It also has like 32 size 2 missiles. So it can put out a hurtin'. It's got 2 elevators at the front here for passengers, as well as a larger cargo elevator at the rear and a docking port at the front. Decent cargo size, crew accommodations. The only thing it's really missing is a medical room. I shouldn't say missing, but the only feature that it doesn't have that you might be eager in. But you can always sacrifice some of your cargo space and throw a NURSA in the back and basically be all set for medical needs. This is as comfortable as a anti-fighter screen as it is a anti-missile platform, so you can actually use this as a missile denial system for larger things. You just have to make sure your gunners are on point because it does not currently have a PDS system, but that might happen in the future given its role. However, it would not surprise me if it's not. Also, as the visuals tell you, this thing, as the Hammerhead, is actually capable of ramming things, and it works quite well. I've used this literally in combat to flat out ram enemy ships, and they go pop, and I was fine. So, it genuinely lives up to the name. Originally, it was going to have extra armor in the front to support that. And in its current iteration, without the armor, it does a very good job of that. So I can't wait to see. But I've flat out used this as a ram, like a battering ram in combat. So while my gunners were all shooting other targets, I flat out rammed another one, and it literally just popped. And I've done that multiple times. So when you enter, if you head forward, you got your 2 front turrets across the center column there that runs across. You have your pilot and co-pilot / navigator down here, which has amazing visibility in the forward and downward, but no topward visibility. So you must rely on your sensors and your augmented reality heads-up display for positional information. Docking port up front with multiple EVA suits. You can also use it as an EVA exit without depressurizing the ship. I would not recommend using the elevators here in the event that you needed to without shutting the 2 blast doors. Currently, these blast doors cannot be shut, but that is not an intended feature. They will be closable in the future so that you can operate those elevators in environments where there is no oxygen, especially when 4.0 comes out and engineering is eventually added. You're going to want the ability to prevent ships from depressurizing. You have multiple escape pods amidship, both port and starboard, along the center corridor here, along with your some of your component access engineering spaces, which we'll enter in shortly, the elevator to the top deck, the top turret, and then your captain's quarters. Much like the rest of the Aegis fleet, the captain's quarters features fairly similar loadout where there's a seating area, your captain's quarters, and then a private ensuite and small bedroom there. And then your top turret is located there. Engineering spaces are mirrored on both sides in terms of like access, but you'll have large component access here. So cooling module, not all of it's physicalized, but will be. Batteries are something that are modeled in many ships, but are not currently modeled as far as a physicalized item. The way batteries will work is there's going to be some drastic changes in the near future when engineering drops and the resource network is fully online. But the way it works is currently when you power on your ship, your ship would be powered on in perpetuity. If the server, for example, never died, theoretically your ship would just stay powered on forever.
Right.
That is not going to be the case in the future. Ships will have 3 fuel types in the future. So right now you have your hydrogen, which is used for conventional flight. You have your quantum, which is obviously used for quantum travel, which will eventually be used for the short-term and long-term quantum travel. And you will eventually have, which is not currently implemented, your power supply will have its own fuel source, and you'll have to maintain all 3. So theoretically, if I powered on this ship and left it and walked away when that new system's in place, it will slowly run out of fuel and eventually shut down. That's one of the major changes coming. Another major change is your power supply. When you look at your power radar, for anyone who's seen the new MFDs, you know, you have so many bars, and you can't necessarily fill up everything to 100%, even though they're capable, theoretically, if you had enough power. Like, let's say if you just slammed another power supply in here and you're good to go, you theoretically could, because there's more bars to fill up. Your power supply only has so much power it can produce. So let's say there's a maximum of 50 ticks that can be filled up. Your power supply may only be able to supply 35 of them, and there's 15 that you can't. That's where batteries come in. Batteries will store energy, and in a combat scenario, in a pinch, not in general use, because otherwise you'll run your wear and tear on your batteries, but these batteries will allow you to apply additional power. So let's say weapons I normally keep at 50%, engines I normally keep at like 1 or 2 ticks, and then shields I normally keep at like full, right? For defensive, that's normally how I run it. 1 or 2 ticks for the engines, 50% on weapons, and shields full. Life support systems at slightly over minimal, because usually I'll run the ships with less crew than needed, and then everything else like coolers at full. Well, in a pinch, in combat, I'll be able to use these batteries to shunt additional power for a limited period of time. You know, and that's dependent on the ship, the number of batteries, the size of the battery, so on and so forth. So then I can jack weapons to full, but because it's greater than my actual power plant can generate, that will start eating away at the batteries. And then at some point, once I'm no longer using that extra power, the batteries will start to recharge again. And how you do that is you'll actually allocate power from your power plant. There'll be another panel when you scroll through that's batteries, and when you allocate power to it, it will recharge those batteries. If you don't allocate any power, they'll stay at their current charge. That's all coming in the engineering and resource network updates that are coming in a 4.0.x patch. Although batteries might not be in the 4.0.x, it might be in a 4.x patch after that. But that is the way it's going to work in the future. So batteries are going to be super important, more so for larger ships, but even smaller ships will have small batteries. Moving on, we have our... Yeah, it's pretty cool. Moving on, we have our crew quarters for the 8 crew members in here. So a total of 9. The captain's quarters features 1 bunk. And then this one features the additional 8. And you'd have your pilot, your co-pilot, and your 6 gunners, which brings you up to 8 crew members. And the 9th would be likely a dedicated engineer that would help with secondary systems and repairs. And then you could pull gunners or your co-pilot off as necessary. You have your dual head and dual shower configurations separated into the 2 different washrooms directly within the crew quarters. And then we'll exit onto this side, and we'll move rearward towards the aft section here. And you'll see there's a bunch of blast doors that I look forward to eventually being able to close. But you have your engineering and cargo hold. We'll go upstairs quickly to look at that in a moment. At the aft here, in addition to this large cargo hold, which also doubles as a lift. So you can actually send that elevator down, so when loading and unloading supplies in a hangar at a landing zone.
Seems like it's going to be a great show this year.
You can see that on the back side it puts that up so you don't accidentally run into the landing gear, and then you can drive or load with the tractor beams supplies,
How fun would it be to own one?
and the elevator moves quite nicely, so your loading times is not going to be super long when doing so.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
The only thing I would like to change, as much as these look cool, is I feel like there's a little too much FX that happens around these engines. It feels like I would be breathing in toxic fumes. So I'd love to see them when they do a pass on this and add all the physicalized components, that they dial that down a little bit. Then you have access to your rear underside turret back there. So now we'll head upstairs. Oh, okay, good. I had a little bit of a
What?
freeze. There was like a little bit of stutter.
Oh. Yeah, I just experienced it after you said you had it.
So in here you'd have suit storage, which is nice because you could have like in particular specific engineering equipment like firefighting equipment, things like that that'll help protect you from fire in here. But we can either use the ladder or we can call the little lift.
You already called it. Might as well take it.
Yeah, that's why I called it. And then we can come up top. This can actually seal up here as well. So if there was a breach in this area, you're not venting the entire upstairs as well. And all the blast doors can vent. This normally, for some reason, you can see through. I don't know why you can't see through it right now, but normally you can see down there. But moving out here, we actually have access to the shield generator. Except it's not working right now. But normally this is additional component access. You have your mess hall, which actually features a top-facing window, which is quite nice. So over here you'd have some natural lighting, except for some reason all the windows in this ship seem to be broken right now.
Yeah, they do.
Sorry about the weird view. I'm just scratching my head. So I took off my hat, which had my Trek IR. And then you have a nice sized pantry back here for all your additional foodstuffs. And a place for your wife to run into you and push you in. These are screens when they're working, so you'll actually be able to like have like the Saddleball tournament and all that jazz running. That's another thing I look forward to is like the sporting and like watching like the next Murray Cup race and stuff like that. And then this is the elevator that will drop you down. I'm just gonna drop down quickly rather than waiting for it to come up. Apparently that actually caused me a slight bit of damage.
Not me.
Not me though. See, I live next.
Yeah, no, don't.
And then you can come back in. We'll take the elevator out. I love how the map actually indicates your position too, which is pretty cool.
Yes. You know, that little map on the top left is definitely a good feature.
I can't wait till they actually put in the like FPS scanning functionality for like detecting enemies and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So that is the Aegis Hammerhead, which is a very, very nice ship. It's one of my favorites as well.
It is nice. And especially when you have, like, several people on.
Oh yeah, we had. I didn't get that on stream, did I?
No, you didn't. I don't even think you recorded it.
No, I didn't. I had this amazing thing where we got the crew like mostly set up. I think we had like 5 people on board, 4 or
Yeah.
5 anyway. And yeah, and it was we were rocking it. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm about ready too. Let's go.
Cause yeah, we had the whole port side and then 1 on the starboard. So we had the 2 on the port, 1 on the starboard, and 1 on the bottom rear. Plus me. Yeah, so 5. So it was pretty cool. So you get that thing mostly crewed or fully crewed, it is a beast. Like, literally, I could have went to the bathroom and come back and had no problem in heavy combat.
Fine.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, you could have gone to the washroom and then gone, got a snack, get a drink.
go for a
yeah.
run, you know.
Go for a run, take the dog out.
Exactly.
Attention visitors. Intergalactic aerospace.
Now, one thing I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure I'm not alone in the community when I say this, is, you know, you got the Hull C model right here. I also look forward to collecting these, but that's not what I was originally going to say. But, you know, the Hull C is supposed to be like the most plentiful ship in the galaxy, you know, shipping cargo from one end of the, you know, verse to the next. But I look forward to seeing AI ships. like just going around like Hull C's transporting cargo to and fro, and it not just being faked, like the Star Citizen's Quanta simulation actually detecting like, okay, cool, so we need more supplies here, so let's simulate cargo ships from this planet transporting this resource because that planet has an abundance of it to here, and then if players enter the area, then the quanta simulation will then generate said ships that you would expect to see in that area based on all that data. So that's pretty cool, and I look forward to that. Oh yeah, our Avenger Hall and our Redeemer. Now the Redeemer recently had a nerf to lower its turrets, but honestly, I don't think that's a nerf.
A nerf.
Oh my god. Why are you such a fucking noob?
I'm sorry.
My god.
It's late.
F
Okay?
in the comments, chat. So it had a nerf and reduced the gun size, but I'm actually okay with that. It's more in line with the ship's size. Anyway, lacking the prisoner cells of the Stalker and the EMP generator of the Warlock, the Titan's hold is free to carry cargo. Couple that available space with the Avenger's tried and true combat abilities, and you got a light cargo hull that's more than capable of handling itself in a fight. A nerf, for the weirdos who don't know what that is when a item in a video game, especially in an MMO, but in general, receives a debuff or a reduction in its capabilities through balancing passes.
Now, how was I supposed to know that?
Because every single person who ever plays games ever in the existence of humanity knows what a nerf is.
Okay, all I'm thinking in my mind are like Nerf guns.
Yeah, no, nerf has been around. Let me see when the coin. You're gonna be disappointed with yourself because the term was coined. Nerf term.
Other than the toy, I've never heard it.
Let me see.
I've been pretty blown away by everything on the show floor this year.
Around. Seems like a lot of people are enjoying themselves. If I had the credits, I'd probably get one of these for myself.
I can't imagine buying one, but it would definitely be fun to use for a weekend.
See, I'm not seeing when it originally came out, but
I'm gonna go and see if I can find anything more interesting.
Yeah, I'm about ready too. Let's go.
It's not the best I've seen from this manufacturer, but
so in video gaming, a nerf is a change to a game that reduces the desirability or effectiveness of a particular game element. The term also is used as a verb for an act of making such a change. So if they nerfed something. The opposite of nerf is a buff. In one of the that terms to usage, the term originated with Ultima Online and refers to the Nerf brand of toys, which are soft and less likely to cause serious injury. That's why it's referred to. It is based on that, but it's started with Ultima Online.
Okay.
You can really see the influence of some classic designers at the lines.
Ultima Online came out in 1997.
One, but it would definitely be fun to use.
The term Nerf is almost as old as I am. That is why I assumed you would know it. I think that's a fair assumption. I think that's a
Okay.
fair assumption.
Okay, but remember, I haven't been gaming.
F in the chat, everyone.
Ahem.
All right. So initially designed as Aegis frontline carrier ship for the military, the Avenger Stalker took a different path, ultimately having a long and storied career as a standard patrol craft of the UEE Advocacy. Utilizing its cargo hull for prisoner transport, the Avenger features a sturdy, reliable hull that is capable for larger than expected engine mounts. So in the first one there, we saw that it was pretty bare bones, just meant for cargo, and had small little crew accommodations. The only thing I don't like about the Avengers is no bathroom. I suppose you're supposed to poop out the airlock or something. This one replaces the cargo hold with prisoner pods, which can actually open. And then you can go like this and be like, oops, wrong button. There we go. I've been nerfed. No?
Nerfed, have you?
It blows me away that you didn't know that. But yeah, the other thing I like about the Avenger, while this does not have the bathroom, which I think is a really unfortunate thing when the cutter does, I would see this more useful with a bathroom, even though it's only right now not really used in an aesthetic change, is there's actually a way to exit this ship from the cockpit. You don't have to go all the way through the ship. There's actually a ladder and an exit from the inside, so
Well, that is convenient.
it is. That was not always a feature. You can see the ladder is right there. Yeah, I'm super surprised actually they didn't know what a nerf is.
Well, remember, I'm still relatively new at gaming.
Still, like I said, this term's been around for forever. Like, it literally blew my mind. We'll come back to the Redeemer gunship after we check out the rest of the Avengers. But it literally blew my mind that you didn't know what the word nerf means. Like, genuinely, I was taken aback.
Why would I know that?
Because literally it's been around for, no joke, almost like 30 years.
And?
Well, that's a pretty common thing.
Well, there are a lot of things that have been around for many, many years that I don't know.
Yeah, you might not know the ins and outs, but like genuinely, you're a gamer, and the term is widely used. It's not just something that's, you know, in the periphery and never spoken about. Like, every single video game has buffs and nerfs happen to the things, and nerfs been used like non-stop to describe game features. Every single game since Ultima Online, literally, like 100%. There is no game that is not, when a reviewer's talked about it, not been discussed. Like when they say, you know, like, is Fallout 76 worth playing in 2024? Like, every single video you watch about that, every single time you look at anything like that, anyone talking about reviewing games, every games article that ever comes out, they talk about the buffs and nerfs since games launch to differentiate it between its original inception and what the game is today.
Well, I do not recall hearing the term nerf, but I know what buffs are.
Yes, the nerf is the
inverse.
Well, that's a different matter. Let me read this first. The Avenger Warlock was built towards a single design philosophy: stop ships, don't destroy them. Probably the closest thing to a non-lethal fighter. The Warlock is outfitted with a Bearing Rep 8 EMP generator capable of emitting power electromagnetic wave to disable any electronics unfortunate enough to be within the blast radius. So the whole back end of this ship is actually not accessible. Well, I shouldn't say not accessible, but is essentially taken up by a EMP.
Oh.
Like, literally the entire back end. So not buffs and not to be confused with MMO functionality of temporary buffing a character through an in-game mechanic. Buff and nerf as synonyms are meaning, like, perfect example, this ship right here was nerfed because it used to have size 5 weapons and it's been reduced to size 4s, if I'm not mistaken. However, a ship that was buffed was the Cutlass Red, the Nursa Rover, the Pisces Rescue, have all been upgraded to have tier 2 medical beds instead of tier 1 medical beds. or sorry, instead of tier 3 medical beds, because tier 3 being only able to heal tier 3 injuries, tier 2 can heal tier 2 injuries, so on and so forth. So all of those medical ships got buffed by increasing the capabilities of its medical bay, where this ship was nerfed by decreasing its firepower. Not to be confused with, you know, if I take a temporary item or go to a entertainer in like Star Wars Galaxies and receive a buff that temporarily increases my skills, my chance percentage for a certain, you know, functionality, XYZ. So yes, both are a buff, but buffs in MMOs, as far as like character buff, are tend to be temporary short-term things. A buff as the synonym to nerf is the development team has made a judgment call to modify a item in game to be more powerful so that it more aligns with its size, class, and use case with other ships of its class. And a nerf, conversely, is they looked at all the other ships of the Redeemer size and said, hey, given that it has a remote turret facing forward, that the pilot controls, if it's not currently being controlled by a remote operator, a turret facing rearward that a remote operator can use, 2 underside guns, fairly large missile bank, and 2 manned turrets of size 5. This seems way too powerful for its size comparatively to other ships, either in the exact same size category or near to it, up or down. So we are going to reduce the guns so it's more in line with every other ship in that area, so it is not overpowered and the de facto choice for everyone, because they want it to be a bit of rock, paper, scissors in the game. So that is why something gets nerfed and something may be buffed, like the med beds, because they were testing out the ability for people to respawn on the beds. And a tier 3, you can respawn on it. But if you respawn on it, you only will... Any tier 2 and tier 1 injuries will not be cured. And its respawn range is like 5 kilometers. A tier 2 bed respawn range is like 50 kilometers. And you'll respawn with all but tier 1 injuries repaired. And then a tier 1 bed has like whatever it is, like, you know, 200 or 250 kilometers respawn radius, and all injuries would be healed regardless of their tier status. So that's why they upgraded all those to tier 2. But that is the difference between a temporary in-game buff and a developer team making a choice to increase the capabilities of a function or item.
Ah.
The Titan Renegade, back to the IAE, was created as part of the Masters of Flight series in conjunction with the Flight Sim Arena Commander. The Renegade pays tribute to the famed pilot Danny Solomon for his notable work with the advocacy to bring justice to Bremen, which is a system in Star Citizen, for those who don't know. This Avenger Titan comes equipped with a specialized dogfighting-focused loadout and a custom special edition livery honoring his iconic ship. So it looks kind of more like an advocacy paint scheme, which features the blue with gold highlights. And then in the back, it's 50-50. Oh, it used to be 50-50. Right now it's on the cargo hold. In the old version, one side was the prisoner pods, and the other side was cargo. I lied to you. It's all cargo now.
Not the best I've seen from this
Lovely.
manufacturer.
So now that we've talked about the Redeemer quite extensively, about its loadout changes and a little bit about its features, as I said, it has the 2 underwing pilot-controlled weapons. That front remote turret that we're kind of walking directly towards now, right in front of the remote turret, is pilot-controlled when not operated by a remote gunner. As we saw in the backside, it has the rear-facing remote turret. It has the underside chin turret, as well as the top turret that are manned. The Redeemer is a gunship. Originally started its life as a drop ship for the Next Great Starship competition, a competition hosted by CIG to allow community members to submit designs and then iterate on it. And then the best one was going to be chosen to be implemented in game. Alwyn Batchelor, the gentleman who made this, was actually then offered a job and is now working at Star Citizen as part of their vehicle team. So pretty cool history to the ship too, if nothing else. So, designed by Aegis Dynamics, the Redeemer is a powerful fighting ship capable of holding its own in combat with powerful weapons payload. Dotted with turrets and missiles, the Redeemer also doubles as an armored landing craft capable of delivering soldiers to the front lines. Still living up to that kind of dropship mentality. It has a similar entrance to the Vanguard. So if we
I'm gonna go and see if I can find anything more.
open the ramp access,
My ship will go out whatever Mr. Fixture added
and get that similar Vanguard feeling. Moving inside, we have an actual 2 SCU cargo space, so you can actually hold, like, genuinely 2 SCU of cargo directly in here. You have your wardrobe and additional storage on both sides, as well as up here. So each bunk, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are numbered, have their own. Each bunk also has a little bit of storage space, as well as lighting control. And they also function as escape pods. You do have a head. It is a wet head that has a pop-out toilet. And then you have a small kitchenette, complete with a fridge that actually works. And they have cameras, which with the introduction of the Polaris's camera, I suspect that eventually these will also be accessible for the other ships. Up top here is where you get your jump seats. If you were operating as a transport for soldiers. Rearward here, we have the top turret access, and then we have all of your components located in a, single area for ease of maintenance. And some of them are inaccessible because they are not physicalized yet.
I'm just gonna stay here.
That makes
I
sense.
feel like seeing much else.
There's also supplies here. The cool thing about jump seats like this is CIG's recently talked about it, that obviously if I, hop into this seat, I sit down, and, I'm now secure, and in a lot of cases there'll be something that kind of goes down over top to help prevent you from jostling around too much. But the jump seats will feature an automatic feature where if you're wearing a backpack, it'll be a very quick process. When you sit down, the backpack will automatically be stowed in the seat, i.e. there'll be like an internal storage just for the seat, and then when you get back up, it'll automatically be put back on your body. Now, personally, this is one of the few decisions CIG has made that I'm not in love with, which is I would like to actually have to physically take my backpack off and put it in there, but I am a fan of the nitty-gritty and the minutia. Not everyone is, and is that fun for everyone? Probably not. So they take it to realism and then they scale it back. So as a player, I can still choose to do that. I just don't have to. And that's where I can get along and live with that decision. But the idea is that when you sit in this, your backpack would automatically be stowed. And when you stand back up, it wouldn't be. Why they're doing that is that instead of using a ship that is not meant to be a drop ship, as a drop ship, where players would, necessarily not be able to sit in all the seats without taking off the backpack. Jump seats specifically have that functionality. So not every seat. If you go up to the cockpit, and here's your bottom turret access for those who are wondering, additional engineering space, all that jazz. But you look at these two seats, your remote turret operator seats or your pilot seat, you will not be able to sit in those with a backpack on. You will be required to take off your backpack and stow it in, for example, the clothing storage down below in your personal wardrobe storage, or elsewise just put it on the floor and risk it bouncing around in a flight situation. Those seats, whether you like it or not, will not be allowed to sit with a backpack or weapons on your rear of your character. Sidearms are fine, but you will have to store things on your back in a seat. And jump seats, you will not. They will automatically be stored and returned to your player upon sitting and standing respectively. And that is a decision so that you actually use dedicated ships like the Redeemer, like the Hoplite, like the Valkyrie for those uses, rather than other ships which might be able to function but don't have that feature built in. So it's a reason why you might choose one ship over another. For example, it was recently discovered that the seats that you can buy to put in your hangar as decorations, you can also stow on cargo grids, meaning that someone could take a Cutlass Black and just put a bunch of seats in the back and make it act like a drop ship without having to buy the Cutlass Steel. The difference is the Cutlass Steel's drop seats are a actual drop seat that will allow you to sit in it. Your backpack and guns will automatically stow. When you stand back up, they'll automatically put it back in your body, making it a much faster ingress and egress into battle. Whereas if you do that in a Cutlass Black, but you're using just standard seats that you buy off the shelf, they will not allow that, and so people would have to take their backpacks and weapons off, and it'll take a little bit more time. So that's kind of a design choice, and I totally get that. They want to make it more functional, but they're not allowing it just across the board with all seats. As with everything, these can change at any point in time based on balance and feedback once these systems are in place, so don't get too hung up if it's not, your vision. And also keep in mind that at the end of the day, this is CIG's game and Chris Roberts' vision, and so they can make whatever creative changes they like, though they tend to listen to the community. So if you do have feedback, get involved in Spectrum, and if you do notice bugs, get involved on the issue council so that we can get these fixed and or addressed.
The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo is where spaceship
That is fair.
come to take flight.
Okay, some of the AI are like on invisible bear belts or something.
Yeah. I'm sorry for ragging you on, Buff. It literally just blew my mind.
You weren't ragging me on Buff, you were ragging me on
Or,
Nerf.
I'm a nerf, but you know what I mean? Like, I genuinely was like, how?
Tip my hat to them as manufacturer.
Yeah, that's fair.
To formidable greatness, Aegis Dynamics makes the ships that heroes are made of. Visit these legends of battle for yourself.
Like, it's so common usage and all the stuff that I've seen, and I've been aware of it for so long, that it would be literally like you saying to me, like, what's a banana? Like, it was just astronomical to me. I was like, what?
Well, thank you for explaining it to me. And I'm sure anyone watching or who will tune in at a later date on the YouTube channel, I'm sure if they didn't know, then they will know now. Or they'll just comment and say, okay.
F in the comments.
What?
So this is the Firebird. When frontline skirmishes call for swift and decisive offensive, the Saber Firebird is the ideal medium fighter for any arsenal. Taking the already battle-proof Saber Raven, Aegis has designed the Firebird variant with a enhanced missile launcher capable of engaging with a wide array of threats. So this is the Raven, which, like I said earlier, is a very specific version of the Saber platform, modified so that they use most of the existing design language without completely copying the design, but it has quite the extensive missile platform, which pops out down below here, so there's actually the ability to kind of mix and match and get the optimal loadout for your expected combat engagements. And it's a nice looking ship. If I was going to get any of the Sabers, it would be one of these. These are nice looking.
Yeah. They are quite nice.
And then the other side features the other variant.
Stands for the imminent destination for live events and exhibitions.
The Peregrine. Make sure we get everything before we go overlook that. We got the Vanguards, we got that, we got that, we got that. Yep.
Okay.
So, the Peregrine, after seeking what fans of the Saber Raven were able to, or after seeing, sorry, what the fans of the Saber Raven were able to accomplish with the fighter on the racetrack, the design team at Aegis Dynamics were inspired to craft an official racing variant for the Agile ship. Enter the Saber Peregrine. Streamlined and featuring an additional thrust boost, this nimble bird is ready to fly across the finish line. So this is a racing variant. Still features some weaponry, I would assume. Maybe it doesn't.
Oh, well, it depends on the racing, I guess, that you're doing.
Well, I mean, if you're using it only for racing, I guess that's fine. But I suspect people would use it for, like, even the racing ships in game usually have some weapons and act as kind of interceptors. Maybe this one literally doesn't have any weapons. Or maybe they kind of pop out like some of the other ships. But they're
Maybe.
nice looking ships. That's for darn sure. Yeah, the
Trying to figure out
Firebird.
what happened up here. And look at all the AIs. They're freaking out.
They're scared for some reason. Somebody did something.
I was gonna say.
Attention visitors to the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo.
And finally, we'll take out the holo display. And that'll wrap it up for the Aegis show this year.
Fair.
First is Idris, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we are. The Idris frigate. This one in particular is the M. You can tell by the two size 7 guns up front, and it's already equipped with its Destroyer railgun. So, blue shirt here is in the way because he's a Dinkosaurus Rex here. So, manufacturer Idris Dynamics, focus Idris frigate here. The Mark II. Oh, this is the Mark II. Why does it have the size 7 gun? That's the wrong graphic, I think, because it's got the size 7 gun. It lies. Anyway, they're claiming it's the Idris P, but it's not. It's definitely an Idris M. Unless this is a confirmation. I mean, maybe this is a subtle confirmation that you can mount the size 7 turret on the front and you'll be able to swap out the hard points, which I sincerely hope so, and that it's not an oversight.
Well, we'll go with that.
Yes, because it definitely has the railgun and it definitely has the size 7. Anyway, now that blue shirt's out of the way. The Mark II Peacekeeper variant, developed for the UAE Patrol Services, the Idris P strips the standard ship-to-ship gun and spinal mount in favor for additional cargo capacity and superior speed. Except they're on there. Right here. Anyway, now that I'm done freaking out. This one probably says the same thing. That's fair, because you can't buy the Idris M anyway. Get the hell out of my way. Well, I turned to him, start moving, and he's like running right into me, like, you know, mucking me right in the eye. He's like looking at me like, you know, what are you gonna do about it, huh? Ooh,
So what is this?
the Vulcan.
Like live long and prosper?
This is a repair ship. So,
I was reading that, bud. Jesus.
so the refuel, repair, rearm, become one-person support crew with the Aegis Dynamics versatile Vulcan, supplying aid to pilots on the fly, whether pinned down under heavy fire and in need of ammunition, low on quantum fuel after an ill-planned jump, or stranded in unknown space with a busted thruster. A pilot in distress can always count on a Vulcan and its cadre of drones to lend speedy, efficient assistance. So this thing is a really cool ship. I think I have one of these as well. So you can see on the side here, and the little cutout between the forward and aft thrusters on the port side, there's those two little, what look like little doors. There's two drones on that side. And there's two drones on the other side. In addition to this featuring the ability to refuel and all that jazz, those drones can be outfitted for mission-specific roles. So you can have them in flight. If I was like damaged while I'm flying, a Vulcan can tag along, match my course and speed, and stay with me, and its drones can come out and repair me, rearm me, or refuel me while I'm in motion.
That's quite convenient.
Yes, it is, and I very much look forward to that ship. I have one of those. And then the last ship that I also have here is the Nautilus Mine Layer, which is a gorgeous looking ship. Not only can it deploy mines, but it can also collect them. It also has 2 drones that can launch out. I think maybe it's more, but minimum of 2 drones. And those drones can actually bring mine, like go over to a mine, disarm it, and bring it back. Not only my mines, but if you, like, let's say you're on Team Blue and I'm on Team Red, and Team Blue has laid some mines, I can take your mines and then use them for my needs. So it can be used for mining and demining operations. And the mines it can drop are not only like your standard what you'd expect, like when you bump into them they blow up, but they also have proximity mines that when you are detected to be near, they'll blow up, which have IFF systems so that when I fly by them they won't blow up, but when you do they will. You can also deploy basically a static turret. So you know those little, not the big static turrets that we see at the bases, but those smaller ones that are like, you know, clear claim jumpers, or like the beacons that you see, like you have to go to the comm relay and stop those jammers. You can deploy those, which feature turrets on them, so you can actually set up small little, like, you know, auto turret fields and stuff like that. So, and there's more mines I'm sure they can come up with in the future, like EMP and stuff like that. Anyway, with 4 centuries of distinguished service under its belt, the Aegis Dynamics Nautilus Tactical Mine Layer, well, that's a mouthful, represents the ultimate in strategic combat engineering with fully integrated mine deployment, sweeping, and disarming capabilities. It's got a big old size 7 guns underneath, so it can pack a bit of a punch with forward-facing weaponry. It's got 2 size 4 on the sides. It'll definitely feature PDS system, and also features a robust suite of mine laying and removal.
I see, I see.
Well, that is the Aegis, Idris, Nautilus, and the Vulcan on the Holo viewers, and that actually wraps up the Aegis show. The Javelin's not available for visibility. However, there are many videos on YouTube, fortunately for you. Unfortunately for me, I never got footage back then because that was before I started my channel. But there are definitely people who have that. So if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about the Javelin and seeing the inside of it on a tour, at this year's Intergalactic, Victus launch week, they actually had tours of the Idris, but last year they had tours of the Javelin. So if you go back, you can see the 2023 Victus launch week Javelin tours and see the outside of that, as well as what is currently available to tour on the inside. And that'll wrap it up for Aegis Day. We'll be back tomorrow. Let me go to one of these screens to make it look like I know what I'm talking about, because I can't remember what tomorrow's day is.
I'm going to move on to the next holiday.
Yep. I'm no help.
Well, that's okay. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow to check out what's on the display floor for then. We'll do the same thing, do a little impromptu jump in and go around. Normally it's about 2 hours of content you can get if you take a tour of every individual item, and I'd like to be able to deliver that for everyone. I like these in-game events, especially with 3.24.3. Hats off to CIG. They've actually done a fantastic job with server stability and all that jazz. I'm actually going to quickly take my helmet off and drink because I'm literally about to die. I'm at 5%.
Oh. That's unfortunate.
Gathering the latest and greatest from manufacturers across the empire. The Intergalactic Aerospace Expo is where spaceship enthusiasts come to take flight.
There we go. Apparently my face is making all kinds of... I'm not actually moving my face at all. But my character was like... Yeah. Wonky, but... Yay!
You can't pick it up?
No, I just had to run into it because it didn't recognize that it was there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, let's head down and check out this final thing, and then we'll do our little outro here. But yeah, I plan on hopping on each day of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo 2954 and covering the show floor for those members who want to find out what's on the show floor but can't quite attend, or want to make the decision whether it's worthwhile for them to hop on if you're a returning player, new player, or what have you. So for the 24th and the 25th is Mirai and Misk. That's a very interesting one too, with the new Misk Star Lancer and some of the offerings from Mirai. Then we will see on Monday Gatak, Apua, Asperia, and the Jean one there. I think that's what that is. Then on Tuesday, we got Robert Space Industries, which are Polaris. Thursday, we have Argo Astronomics, Consolidated Outland, Grey Cat, and Kruger Intergalactic. Friday, we got Drake Interplanetary. Saturday, we got Origin Jumpworks. Sunday, we got Anvil Aerospace. Then on December 1st till just on December 1st, Best in Show and Weapons and Armor. And then the 2nd to the 5th is the finale, which will allow you to rent all of the ships if you missed out on one earlier in the week. It is a free fly, so if you know anyone who's interested in Star Citizen who hasn't made the plunge yet, get them to hop on and try. This way they'll at least be able to see. CIG did a fantastic job with this recent patch for stability, so it'll be an excellent time for new players to hop in and get a taste of the game and its current state. 4.0 is around the corner, so we'll be featuring jumps to Pyro in the very near future. And honestly, the gameplay loops are far, far better. We're actually, kind of getting there. The horizon is in view. Hope you enjoyed this little stream, and if you do have anything you want to see in particular, like not just the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, but like outside of that, let me know. I'm happy to feature it on the channel. If we have some more time tomorrow or Monday, we'll also be featuring, in addition to showcasing the expo floor, we'll be doing some more of the Save Stanton event and all that jazz. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.